Hi guys, this is a video demonstration linked to week 8 Impressionist mark making. Today we're going to be looking at Vincent van Gogh's pencil and pen drawings. I've decided to look at public gardens in Arles, and this is an image that I'm particularly drawn to, as we can see a variety of marks that Van Gogh has employed. The path meanders through the landscape right into the background, and I just want to talk to you a bit about the range of marks that he's used throughout this landscape. On the path in the foreground, we can see those longer marks, and they lead the eye down the path. To the left, we've got some foliage, and we've got the variety of lines that you can see there, some short, thick lines, we've got some curved lines. We can also see how he's used tone. So he's built up areas with thicker lines, lines that are closer together, marks that create a darker tone, and that pushes things back and brings things forward. We can see on the right-hand side, those lines that curve around the tree trunk, and that's a really nice, effective way of making it feel more three-dimensional. Now I'm going to do my own demonstration employing the marks of Van Gogh using a photograph that I found here at Insight. First of all, I'm using a marker pen, but you could start with a pencil. It's something that you could do with paint or any other media that you have available at home. What I want to do first is establish the main features of this landscape that I'm looking at. So I'm going to make a mark sort of around the middle point of the page where I can see that the river bends round and disappears behind the side of that tree. I'm then going to do or apply a mark here with my pen and draw that corner there, because I know that this space here is occupied with the sky. I can see that there's some trees there. So what I'm doing by just adding these few marks is trying to establish the general sense of the landscape. So using these dots allows me to draw the curve of the river. I can see the same down here. Leads towards the foreground here. So within a few lines, I've got the general feel and shape of this landscape. Now I'm just going to draw the outline of these trees as they encroach over here. And I've got I'm going to do a few sort of shorter marks here, there, and on this side again, curve line here. I can see some shadows. Okay, so now I'm going to start to really think about those lovely marks that Van Gogh employed. And across this river, the river here, I'm going to make sure that my lines are going horizontally across my page. So I'm going to do a few broken lines here. I've got a shadow. So a variety of marks is important. Actually, a lot of this space here is taken up with the reflection, so the lightest part of the image where the sky is coming through and reflecting onto the water. I'm going to make some lines here. So some smaller dashes to help describe the shape. Into the shadow or the dark reflection on the water itself. I'm just going to pick out the main trees here. So we've got the tree trunk there, and that disappears as it gets up to where the leaves begin. Think about some marks to make that feel a bit more three-dimensional. Behind it, we have shadow that goes off in that direction, the side of the page. And then lots of this space in the top left-hand corner is taken up with our leaves. So I'm going to think about how Van Gogh may have used his lines. And it's building up tone and texture with a variety of marks in different directions. So through these lines, we can see the branches. And And we know that these reach over and feel like they almost touch the side of the river there. Thinking about the direction of my marks here, and I'm going to go over these initial lines that I drew. So I don't want it to have a harsh outline at all. Here I can see that there's some branches reaching over. Draw those in. The main elements, the main areas of importance to me, you can see that there's two more trees in the distance there, and there's that branch coming across, and those shadows. So I'm being quite quick with my marks, not being too precious with them. Come back towards the foreground here. And I think in the foreground, we can afford to be a bit more energetic, apply a bit more pressure with our pen. The lines can be thicker, closer together. Use some cross-hatching to make this area appear darker. And there's a section between the trees here, which is darker. So I'm using my lines closer together. I can employ a crosshatch as well, which will darken an area and push that further back and bring this corner of the tree forwards. Same in this space here, distance. Come back into the river here and leave this space untouched. And again, this is similar to the path that we saw in Van Gogh's drawing at the start of the demonstration. I'm going to go over these lines here to darken them up so we can see that there's some shadow. So it's about treating different parts of the landscape slightly differently. But all of my lines, notice, are going horizontally across the river. And they disappear around that corner. And lines are going to go in a slightly different direction. They're going to go vertically. That's going to help describe the rocks that line the river here. And the grass that emerges on the other side. Over here we can see that there's another tree. It starts there and encroaches into that area of sky. Need a double line for this to make it thicker. And the tree trunk gets narrower as it reaches the top of the composition. And actually I can see that this is reflected here. So as I'm drawing, I'm sort of noticing things that I didn't initially see. And like Van Gogh did, he used a curved line, and that's going to help make that feel more believable, feel more three-dimensional. Now this exercise would have worked really well using a pencil or a fine line or a biro. Equally, it'd work well with chalk or charcoal or a really, really thick marker pen. I'm just going over some areas here to make them appear darker. And I think this area in the foreground needs developing slightly. I'm thinking about the direction of my lines and how that's going to help shape the image. And there's another tree trunk there. Notice I'm working quite quickly. So I want it to have an energy to it. Revisit some of these shadows on the river. Come down and work into this area in the foreground. Again, I think the parts of the image that are closest to us can receive a bit more attention. So the impression that there's grass, some longer areas, growth on the edge of the river here. Draw around that because I want that to really lead the viewer through the image, and as it curves around it disappears behind these trees here. So that's my demonstration using a marker pen. It would work well with biro or pencil or anything that you have available at home. I really look forward to seeing what you produce. Good luck.